Today on In the Wood Yard, we're going to test some saws. So yesterday I ran 6 tanks through the new Husqvarna 564 XP. And I ran just that saw. I had intentions that I was going to try out some of the other saws kind of back and forth. I never did because I just was having fun with it. And we cut up a bunch of wood that were in log form, and then we split that. And then I went and I cut in the woods. There was 2 different videos I shot yesterday, so you've seen those already, hopefully. But today what I want to do is I want to take the new 564 and the 572. I got the 572G and the regular 572 up here. I've got the 592 here, and then down over there I've got the 562 and then my little 540, the little weenie saw. But what I want to do specifically today is to try out the 572, the 564, and the 562. I'm going to try to maybe run half a tank or maybe a full tank in each one of them, and they all have pretty new chains on them. The one looks like, yeah, they're all pretty close. So basically I just sharpened them all up, so they're all good to go. And I got this log pile right here. I got my tractor back over there, so I'm going to pick up a log. I'm going to cut a few cookies, but I don't like really cutting cookies like a lot of guys do. They seem to just want to cut cookies all the time to play with the saw. To me, that's kind of a waste of time, fuel, effort, energy, and all that. I like to actually make firewood because that's what I sell. So we're going to cut some of this oak right here. I got a couple in here that are some nice big oak logs that we can't run through the processor. So we're going to cut them up and block them right here. So basically I want to find out how close is it, and that's what a lot of guys want to know, is the 572, the 564, and the 562, which are like the saws that are very, very popular. I believe the 562 is like one of their #1 selling pro saws, because, and I'm not saying that pros are buying it, a lot of them are, but there's a lot of homeowners, a lot of consumers that want a pro saw but don't want a 70 or a 90 cc saw. They want a 60 cc, and that 562, the Mark II, is an awesome saw. Love it. But when I run it, it's like I just want a little more out of it, so then I go to my 572 and it's like, yeah, it's better. But I just know from the little bit of running I did yesterday, the 6 tanks I ran through the 564, it's really close to the 572. So we're going to kind of compare these two and then these two. So the 562, the 564 together, I'm going to kind of run those side by side, back and forth. And then I'm going to run the 564 and the 572 kind of going back and forth with the saws, because that way you can kind of get a better feel for power, response, handling. I do know one thing for sure, the 564 is light, very nice and light. In the woods, it was awesome yesterday when I was cutting. I didn't get tired carrying around like I do when I've got my 592. The 592 I love because it's got so much power and you cut so fast with it, but it's heavy. It's just heavy. It just is. So it's time to get cutting right now. All right, so I said I wasn't going to cut cookies, but this log is kind of a damaged one here. So I am going to cut some cookies off of it here. Probably cut from this side over here. It's a nice big enough log. It's just probably it's 20 inches for sure, around that size. And then we got that one too. All these need to be cut up, but I think I'm going to start with this one. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to get the saws and start them up. we go. I just ran all 3 saws, cut 3 cookies a piece. I'll put the times, whatever I can calculate according to the time on the camera. I'll look at it. I'll put it on the screen. By now you guys have already seen it. There was a little hiccup because there's this notch out of here, right here. So it kind of caught in some of this stuff. I had 2 of the saws I think got caught in here. And so when you hit something like this, you're going to get a little grab. So it grabs because my chains are sharp. And I was just letting the chain basically, the saw basically just fall through it. I wasn't pushing at all on any of them. I just let them go. So I started first with the 562, then the 564, and then the 572. And it's really hard to tell just in that little bit. So I'm going to cut actual firewood. Now I'm going to cut the logs that are over to this side over here. I'm going to cut them up into rounds. But that was the extent of my cookie cutting. I'm not a big cookie cutter like a lot of guys are. They just had to cut cookies all day long. I don't see the point to it myself, but yeah, you get a feel for it. But I want to actually know what it's like to actually work with the saw on a working basis. So we're going to cut up, I got, I don't know, half a dozen logs here, so we're going to cut them up. My first impression is it's just a little bit weak. I can tell because I cut enough with the bigger saws, the 572 and the 592, that I know the 562 definitely isn't in their same class, but it's very nice. It's a lighter saw, cuts great, with a sharp chain. It works great. So if that's a saw the size that you want, or you can get one, or money-wise that's what you can afford, or it's just going to be good for you, nothing wrong with that saw at all. The 564, smoother. It just feels smoother when you're cutting because the anti-vibe, the dampening on it is phenomenal. It has a nice sound to it. Other than that, it felt a little faster. It just felt smoother in the cut for some reason. The 572 cuts faster. It felt faster. It didn't bog down as much. I could just let it go. It just eats. So I don't know that there's that much difference between the 564 and the 572, other than I think part of the reason the 572 maybe cut a little bit faster because I was letting the saw weight just fall through the cut. The 572 weighs a couple pounds more. It's a little heavier, so that could make a difference. Because I was not pushing. I was just having my hand just sit there and letting the saw just go. So the 572, in my opinion, it just eats better. That's got a little more power. And the fuel injection is nice, but it's a lighter saw. But if you're cutting all day long, so that's a good thing. So it's really what you're after. I guess if I was going, my opinion, if I was having to pick one saw that I had to cut with all the time, you could pick any one of the 3 and be happy. I don't think I would pick the 562 because it's just not quite as much. But the 564 is real close to the 572. And if you're cutting all day long, the 564 might be a better choice because it's lighter and it's easier to move. The 572 has got a little more power, I think, just a little more, but it's a little more weight also. So there's that. So we're gonna cut some logs now. I just got done cutting up this log pile here with the 3 saws. I tried to cut equal amounts with each one of them. Started with the 562, then I went to the 564, and then I went to the 572. And they all have chains that, from what I can see, they still look pretty good, but they're all about half wore out, so they're not new chains. I thought this one had a newer chain, but they're all at about 50%. That's what I would guess. But I did just sharpen them. I did not touch the raker since the last time I sharpened, so they all felt about the same as far as how they were pulling. I can kind of usually tell if the rakers are too high or too low, if the saw pulls me in. So they felt real similar in that aspect, but as far as power, the 562 is not a 564, and a 564 is not a 572. There's a difference. The 562 is a nice saw. It's light. It cuts really good. Cuts plenty fast, but I can bog it out pretty easily just with a little bit of it. Once you dig the dogs and give it a little wrench, you can bog it out on a bigger piece. 564, the same thing. I could bog it out fairly easy. But I think this one runs smoother. The 564, I think, is smoother. And I think it's got I don't know, it's just me, that's the way it felt. It felt like it was cutting a little faster. And as far as weight-wise, it's so close, it's hard to tell. It's just almost impossible. I would say, if I had to pick between the 62 and the 64, I think I'd take the 64. I'm pretty sure I would. But, with all that being said, the 564 is not a 572. It's got more power. It just does. I could feel it. It's not a dramatic difference, but there's more. Maybe it's just the weight of it. It just seems to, it just goes more. And for those of you that have run a lot of saws, when you know, you just know. You can tell right away, because if you cut often enough, you can feel it. I know when I go from my 592, which is sitting over there, and I go down to the 572, it's like, wow, it's just not the same saw, and it isn't. The 572 is, was it a 73 cc? I gotta look here. There's a marker. It tells you exactly what it is. Somebody will tell me, because I don't see it on here. I know it's on there somewhere, because it puts the date that it was manufactured, the year, and it has the cc. I think it's a 73 cc. I don't know. 71 point something. It's somewhere right in there. It's just not a 592, and a 592, I believe, is a 93 cc. So there's a dramatic difference. That's 20 cc's different. That's, you know, it's a little weenie saw helping. So there's a difference, but it's a lot heavier. And I usually start with my 592, what I'm going to be cutting, because I'm fresh, I'm not tired yet, and I can really go with it. And then once I get a little tired, then I go down on the 572, and it's kind of nice to have a lighter saw, but you can feel the difference. And I would say the same thing probably with the 564. When you go from the 572 to the 64, I think you would notice a little difference. Lighter, just not quite as fast. I mean, it's close though, it's real close. And for those of you that are traditionalists and you like the 3 series, you like to do your own tinkering and adjusting and playing with your saw and all that kind of stuff, I would say the 372 is my opinion, because I've run my brother's quite a bit, and I've run at some shows and some other people's. The 372 and the 572 are so close you can't tell the difference. You just can't. They're so close. And I'm not a guy that likes to work on saws. I don't like to fix them. I just want them to work. I want to cut. So I take the 5 series every time. That's just me. But I know there's guys that like their series, especially the loggers, guys that are arborists, guys that work on city crews have been using the 372s for so long, they just love them. The nice thing when you pick a particular saw, brand and size or model, everything's the same. So if you use them for 3-4 years and it starts to have problems, you can take parts off and put them on the other saws, and you can cannibalize them. And so that's a smart move. I like new stuff. I don't really like anything old. I don't even like myself because I'm old. But that's just a whole nother issue. But the saws have been working really good. I don't think you can go wrong with any one of them. They're all very nice. Well, right here, what's nice about this one is it says right on it here. And it doesn't say it on the other ones. Well, this one's got a sticker right here on top, and it says it's a 60 cc saw, the 562 XP. It says it right on there. So anyway, there you go. We did a little cutting. I don't know, that took me 40 minutes or so to cut all this up. and bigger pieces. And the reason I cut them up with the chainsaws is it's stuff that wouldn't fit through the processor. They were either too fat on one end, or they had a crotch or a knot, or that shattered one, things like that. This is the pile where we put all the ones we don't want to mess with in the processor. And speaking of processor, it is right now, it is 12:10. In 10 minutes, we're going to have a brand new processor pull into the woodyard. Jake from Blockbuster is coming right now, and he's bringing the brand new Blockbuster B18, the brand new one. And then he's hauling away the other one. He sold it, and it's going down the road, and they brought me a brand new one. Well, it's not brand new. They did some testing with it and did some running on it. So, but it's going to be brand new to me. It might have a few hours on it, so that's going to be cool. So the next test I want to do with these saws is I want to find out which one rips the best, because I do a lot of ripping of big logs, because I'm not real fond of using a log lift all the time. They're nice, but you got to get the round to the log lift, because most machines that have log lifts are so big and cumbersome you can't move them to the wood usually. You got to get the wood to the machine. Even though I got a tractor with a grapple and a bucket, it's just a lot of messing around. And I find that if I rip everything in halves or quarters, it's actually faster, and you can make wood better, and you're not killing yourself trying to move around great big huge runs. I know a lot of guys do videos where they're like, they got to put a 40-inch round up on a lift that almost tips the machine over, and then they split it, and the one half falls to the side, the other one they catch, and they're trying to wrestle it, and it takes forever to get the round to the lift and lift it. If they're that big, knock it down. If you got a big enough saw, rip it. Ripping works great, but that's just me. I'm weird. So that's all I got for today, folks. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, we're going to have the brand new Blockbuster here. Good night, Irene.